Hello and welcome, as it is the completion of the 14th day of May 2019. Welcome to the Money Charts channel. My name is Derek. All bets, trades of the like within each's own risk and their own reward. And since leaving the 18 average last on May the 3rd, it has just continued to go higher. 18 average rising at a large rate of ascent, as the 18 average of lows is now crossing above the last key Fibonacci level. Obviously, no resistance amongst that point at all. And in looking at this now, we can see things on the monthly chart. We had a nice little up run, the sideways move, and that was a long period in which it spent mainly in the 6, 7, 8,000. So to say that we're in a current spot of a lot of price history would be an understatement. And we're really at the upper end of that area too, which is kind of surprising to me. I kind of thought there was a better chance than there actually was. I thought there was a pretty decent chance that there'd be some sort of level of resistance at 63 and a half area, 64, 65. Even I thought 67, 68 was where it was going to go to, up in the high 6,000s. But now it's already broken north and is still north of the 8,000 barrier, as price action got up to the 18 lows and has continued to accelerate to the 18 average of highs, and has now continued to even accelerate further, now breaking above it. It's not quite a large enough, but getting close enough of a break above where I would call it a statement for resumption of bull market trend. As market going sideways like this, you're in a bull market going neutral, going down, a bull market that was neutral that's attempting to go lower. Now that it's come up towards here, this is going to be enough for the 18 average to at least flatten itself back out. So the status in here would kind of remain. But the setup, of course, of this failed breakdown to me is very real. We are in that of a long-term bull market, as the price action from this last run, from the last low below the 18. Its biggest low point was January the 1st, going down to 152. It broke out of the 18 average here on November the 1st. When it got above the 18 average of highs for the first time, it never looked back. Will that be the case again now? Maybe, I don't know. And in trying to predict, where are we going to go next? 98.14 or say 6,300. If I were to make a guess, I guess 98.14. And normally I would say, I don't know, 50-50, maybe a little bit here. But I do think the favorite overall, because of this failed resistance test. I mean, all it resisted for was just this brief amount of time in here. That the odds to me favor it's a fast move to the next level, and I'm not seeing the early support moves in here. This was a spot in which it had its correctionary move on the 4-hour time frame, that is, and it succeeded amazingly. It was almost like when I was writing my math and accounting test back in college. It was so easy. So, how did this test go? I passed it with a breeze, flying colors, all that type of stuff. So, this opportunity to come back and support this area, because it's not uncommon to see all this where you break above, you're piercing above where you're supposed to resist. And although mathematically it should be 50-50 based on, piercing a little above versus piercing a little below when resistance is in that area. But it seems in these markets it's about 90-10 or 85-15 or 95-5 or well greater than 80-90% of the time when you do resist a area. And I'll basically say the Fibonacci retracement areas for my example anyway, that you're going to be getting. With this, it just goes over more often than not. So I have to keep that in the benefit of the doubt within here. So it didn't have its early correction from this early pierce. It didn't have any type of one here. So if it was going to be bearish, then I would have seen this fail within the 18th somehow, or at least have a failed rally attempt in here, find some sort of matching or lower high, and then start to roll over, but none of that has happened. Rather, breaks this resistance in here, finds the liftoff support for this move here, and has now made it to this high. We've had a little bit of support now, but it's after this red candle down comes close to the 18 average of closes for this time frame, and then has now immediately moved up to let me just remove the drawings because there's so much that I've done on here, hence the reason why I've used this exchange for this video and not the Coinbase one, which has all my Fibonacci lines already on it. But nice overall looking setup amongst this. So that is why I would like to say that there's a better chance. But am I going to making any type of bets on it? I could. Actually, no, I will probably. I could. Yeah, I technically could, but no, I'm not going to. I was just thinking because how would I bet that? I would have to like have some sort of dollars to go long, and I don't have any type of tethers or true U.S. dollars or anything. And I mean, I technically could buy Bitcoin at a gas station, but there's really no need for me to do that. But yeah, I would guess that there's a better chance that we see closer to 10,000 before we would see 64. With that number being stated, let's talk about some must hold areas. Because I talk about that all the time. You make a statement on a move, and overall, when you have what has just transpired since it left this 18 average, well, the higher it goes, the higher the must hold happens to really come into play. Because at this stage, it's just band flattening out as it is attempting to reverse the trend. This is a bear market. It never turned out to be much of one, but it's a bear market because established support happened here. After much attempt while keeping this downtrend line in place, it did do that of break established support, and it had a significant leg lower, one leg lower. So amongst it, when it first had this move, and you see the statement, how it gets above this 18 average, long-term analysis in here. Obviously, the 18 starting to rise as it was having several pause weeks. The must-hold area was this, I mean, totally in here. You got to make that higher low. The 18 is probably going to work well within it for it. There's nothing wrong with piercing below and coming back. That's why I say hold and stay above a specific level. In this case, it would have been around 4,000. Hold and stay above. And I'd like to, at that time, I would like to have seen like 4,100 closer to. And then markets go up again. Okay, well, this changes everything. Because now I'm almost, but not quite yet, at the point where I have to say 6,000 low is a must hold, but it's a sweet hold if it does, because it's not the must hold. I'm always going to, if I can't figure anything out, the simple math is always going to work out for me. And that is to use Fibonacci retracement. And I see a high right now at 83.35. And a low that's near the 3150 shows me the key levels at 57.47 even, which is a very weird place for. I mean, that just doesn't make any mathematical sense based on where Fibonacci's in play, telling me that this live going up is still just that, continuing live. And the 45.68, well, that's pretty much the must hold now, a little bit higher. And with the last Fibonacci near 48, this would just be a weird place to top. It really would. This number just doesn't, I mean, it's uncommon because oftentimes when I calculate the Fibonacci numbers, they're going to make sense. And the must hold area right now mathematically is around here. That's just the weirdest of. That doesn't. And that's not normal for that. When I look at highs, it's like really. That's. If I were to look at that, I'd say, wow, that's just doesn't look. I just don't see that too often. I would usually expect the key Fibonacci numbers to at least be in here with those level or back down towards in here. And then of course the. Again, no, I'm just basically because of that. would think there's a very good chance that this run, this move, has got some distant legs to go. And 10,000 just seems to make the most sense. And like I said before, and I got the Coinbase and the Fibonacci lines in place, that they usually pierce extra. Don't know why. Just like this when it came down to 63. And it was Fibonacci because of the 152 lows and the 20,000 highs. 63.23 right there, which coincided with the 63.40. They tend to do that, which is exactly why I'm surprised if the high is somewhere in the low 8,000, anywhere in the 8,000s really. I would think if it was going to top anywhere after breaking this resistance in any type of pierce, we're probably looking into the 7,000s. But we've far exceeded that. And as I said at the start, we're not supporting off of this Fibonacci line. We came up, we found support. That's just a magnificent run. And on the single hour time frame, well, it looks like after what we can see in here, we have this nice little last good run, leaving the 18 on the 7 hour timestamp on Monday. And then it goes up for several hours in a row, but for good gains. Has a little bit of a small correction, not enough to make the 18 go flat. But it shows strength amongst it, thus keeping it rising. A failed breakout. Yeah, right here, there's a failed breakout. Fast move lower. Well, you know what? You don't get as many of them in bull markets, I guess. Because after this failed breakout, this market had another one, and it was a smaller failed breakout. And if this is your fast move, that might be it. Coming back down to previous support, but technically speaking, that's no. That mean I'm looking for a break below the support for the fast move, not supporting it a second time. If of course I'm looking at this as a failed break. So you have a green candle up to the 18. That's both bullish and bearish. Then you have this green candle move up to the 18 of lows. That's whatever. In the sense that, hey, it didn't go down though. I mean, we're not resisting it. And then you have this move in here, which puts pressure on the bearish side, especially with the buyers in control. Okay, well, I mean, the 18 is just flat now. I mean, it's not uncommon for you to break your shorter term support number in here, reestablish where the last key level was, come to the 18, newly declining to the highs, then go to the lows, break below the lows, all that kind of stuff. But since making it to the highs, the last period, the 20-hour one, right now it's 9:36 p.m. or 21, colon 26. It's not a semicolon, it's a regular colon when you do the time. And this move in here, wow, breaks a new high, closes near the 18 highs, and now halfway through this, 33 minutes just hanging in there near the 18. So it seems as if this thing might be ready to attempt to break out above it. And if it does, is it going to be a nice little grindy move? Are we going to have a nice sustained move? Because this thing, again, to me, would be, I'll cover it later, but it would be very shocking to me if this is the area where this moves high is going to come into play. Okay, I spent a lot of time again on Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is the big one, 13 minutes and 50 seconds. So let's just quickly go over the Bitcoin dominance and a few other altcoins. And the Bitcoin dominance right now in the 1 hour time frame is taking some nice plunges. If you, well, obviously this is a spot where it got up to the 63 number. And what you make on the exact number on this, it's like whatever. But as far as the movement's concerned, that's what I'm really looking towards. Comes up to this, like I said before, it's not uncommon to make your first move down there, come up to the 18 eyes, and then bring it down. So there's a spot where it happened. And gets below the 18, settles in there, and here's your breakdown at about 1500 hours today. Altcoins are in control right now. Let's just take a look at a few of them. With I think Ethereum probably, at least because of its high market cap as well as Ripple being the big reasons for it. So let's take a look at those. Ethereum against Bitcoin on its single hour term time frame after this last decline. had a huge move from the 18 lows to a huge move above the 18 average of highs. So for reversal of trend, stage one, band flatten out. Stage two, establish resistance. Stage three, come back to the band. Stage four, break, establish resistance. So it's a bull market, and it has continued to be so ever since. So it would have been a bull market somewhere around 267. Right now it's 276. And looking at this via the single day term time frame, that's the 4 hour. Price action has still been in such of a long decline that it's just working towards flattening at this 18 average. And I would be looking for resistance towards the 18 average of highs, which comes in at about the 287 handle. And let's next take a look at, let's take a look at its longer term time frames while we're here. Weekly chart, this is a pretty much descending triangle kind of formation. You're making a pattern of matching lows and lower highs. We've had a lot of support right where we are at now. And like it held it, well, established it here, held it here, held it here. So far, it hasn't broken it down yet. On the Ripple side, it's having a fantastic day as well. As Bittrex will give you more data. It's up for the week 24%, but obviously still well below. It's 18. It came down to its previous low. That's pretty much where it has found some support at. And it's got all of these lower highs to get over it. Last time it had chance breaking the 18 on here. Of course, it was in here. And it's been a long time in failing, because after that huge move, the 18 was successful in supporting, but what was unsuccessful was its attempt to break out. Comes up, missing the previous high, but that's fine when you come back and you find support. Here was the other shot to break it out, the last shot rather, and it wasn't able to do it. Comes back to the 18, band starts to flatten out, loses momentum, starts to hang in there with the 18 lows, and there's your decline ever since. And it's still decently away from it with amongst its time frame. On the daily term, as we can see, just significant moves. Stage one, band flatten out. Stage two, it's pretty close to that of establishing resistance, although I'd like to see it come up at least to about 57.50. It's marginal. Is this just a pierce above, or is this a good move above where I can say, yep, I'm see you're attempting to try to revert it? I really don't know. Next, looking at Litecoin against BTC, which has consistently been going down since making its high near the 180 something handle, or 190 even. And it's now down to the 114, finding, it doesn't look like there's much support here, but there you can see it, there was. For it comes down to this line in here, has a pause period with a little bit of rally from this point, then it breaks through what we can notice a little bit convincingly. And on the daily time frame, you can see that there was a lot of support within it. Then we have resistance at that point on the May 11th time frame. It has a quick retracement back down, pausing in there. Yet, or 2 days ago, it comes down, breaking below the 18 lows, making lows not seen in quite some time. And a pause day today. And we're just opening up the new session, which is why we don't see much in here. So it goes up today, but not really. So it does look to me as if mathematically, well, that's obviously what I'm going with. But when you go with the key Fibonacci levels, that to me what I really consider a very good must hold, which is 61.8% from any type of good move like this, especially when you're significantly lower than this high and significantly breaking out above here. I want to see it come back to 61.8. It happens, it just coincides, just happens to do it within a key level here. This 100 is the previous resistance. This 128 was this previous resistance. So I'm going to want to see it hold and stay above it. If it does happen to go there, I will be buying some Bitcoin I'll be selling Bitcoin and thus buying Litecoin. And when coins get their asses kicked, and they do so amongst high volatility, then that's the key thing, the high volatility. They can spark at any time. Consecutive red candles down in the weekly term time frame here on DGB. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right now this is 9, but it's still early in the week, and it's not really down much now for the week. On the daily chart, it didn't really have much of an update today. It's really hardly any green at all since really this day here. and even during the entire bear market run. High of 400, a low yesterday comes in at 125. I think the lowest I got was 127. So I'm really hoping for a rally because the fact that it's up to 143 even means every ratio, with the exception of GRS, which never moves lately, but every ratio, and there's only two other ones, Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin, but those two are getting close to the point where, hey, I can take some DGB and sell it on the market for a profit based on where my numbers lie. But I can get some good ones because this thing is capable of having a fast move to 168. Heck, even go 200, 240 in like 3, 4 days. Those things are capable of happening. That's what I want to see happen. Are those wild moves come into play? Big highs, big lows, big moves, big volatility intraday. And with volatility intraday, that means maybe I can make 2, 3, 4 trades in like a 40-hour period. Oh, this happens. Okay, 6 hours later, the reverse ratio changes, or because something goes up like 40%, then it retraces back down 25% a couple hours later. That's the type of stuff I want to see happen. As far as how this looks on the single-hour term time frame, there was the level of resistance that it established in here. And to me, this is reversal of trend. As maybe you want a bit more to do it. It's really, I mean, is this a big enough move above? Barely, sort of. But it does have a move up here. It did correct it successfully in here. And then you see 3 periods like this, just hanging in there on the 18. Even this one for probably most of it, but it closed near the highs. There's a statement candle right here. And these two sideways movements to me, I like seeing. This is telling me that the sellers at these new prices of 143, because even my GRS trade cross I'm on with that, I bought both of them yesterday. I bought GRS at whatever low price it was, and I bought DGB at 130 something. And any of these moves that go up means, well, I can make some sort of profit here and there. But I realize that if it does do what technical analysis usually does within this, if it's able to successfully correct this, I got this 18 starting to rise. It's going to have some sort of maybe sideways movement in here. We're already establishing this resistance here around 145. That if I see any type of action, then I start to see this, it's breaking out. It's at like 148. 149, those I think are the key numbers on the short term, but 148 especially, if I see that, and then I think that I'm probably going to see like 155, 160, and who knows what more there after that. That's what I'm hoping for, because if it does go up into that area, it would probably mean that I can sell some of those for Litecoin. I can sell some for Bitcoin Cash, and maybe sell some for GRS as well, depending on what happens with that. But that's an interesting one because, and I'll finish it off with that. I mean, this is what DGB has done. And there's a lot of history with these coins having major volatility. But when markets go down together in the bear market cycles, that's when volatility comes to its worst. It's best when you're in bull market stages, and then coins have their separate times for runs, where maybe on Tuesday we have this one other coin that does this, then Wednesday it follows through. Thursday it has its big correction down because of its big 2 day move, where the other coin had its big move the day of its correction, and then it corrected big down 4 days later. And well, on the 4 days later, the other coin had a good bear market reversal rally, and those just can make your wild volatile moves. But they've both been going down at a large precipitous pace. Here we have it having this phenomenal move. And when you look back on GRS, however you look back at the previous data, tell me how many times you see in a 1 to 3 day period where the price action does anywhere near double or better in less than 3 days. And often, in this case, it was just one. And it was that of better than triple from this high. I mean, there's a little bit one here as well. But those are the types of things that if you're able to see in here, profit on, be able to make a few trades, comes back down, more than a lot of buybacks have been able to been done. Because even when you've sold here, you had a sell order in for 78.95 back in here because you realized, hey, I bought at 62 last time, 78's the sale, differential is like 25% or so. Hey, that'll work. And then, of course, hopefully you had a whole bunch of other sales. They'd all get bought and back. And if you buy back here, maybe you can get some selling here. Buying here, maybe sell here. But the whole point is buying, selling here could mean buying back here or wherever, depending on, of course, the level of your volatility. Bottom line is it has retraced more than 100% of its move. It has looked to have replaced about 110, 115% of its gain, which means lower than such. It did not pass the 18 average test. It had this failed breakout here. It failed within the 18 at this point. The must hold area of right around the 60, the 6,000, right around here at 67. This, it didn't do it. So what does this mean for the weekly chart? Well, I guess you could draw a momentum changer on here. You're going to get poor results regardless of how you look at this on, because of the logarithmic scale being so poor. But you can see what this thing is as well is choppy, which is what I like, especially choppy with an up bias, and that's pretty much what this is. You got this high, you come back down, not quite below it, whatever. But you have this high, you go below here, below the low. Then you go above the high, then you go below. Then it goes above. Yeah, this one didn't go below, but it's still a good correction. And then it goes above, then it goes below, then it goes above, then below. And this one didn't have a good rally or didn't get above, but I mean, had an okay rally. It went from 5,600 up to 10,000, so that's close to double. And again, that probably would have been one of those 1, 2, 3 day events to do it. And then sustaining back in here above the high. Now we're back below the low. And selling spots are above the 18 average of highs. Buying spots to me are below the 18 average of lows when markets do those kinds of things. And in just general period, that's when buying and selling to me exists. And I spent a lot more time on the alts than I was planning on. Again, thank you for tuning in to what is less than a 30-minute video, but pretty darn near close to it. And we'll see how close or how right I am about this, because although not betting on it, I like the chances Bitcoin rally does continue to go further as we move within this week. Most likely, as my next up target is 10,000. Take care. Have yourself a great day. Bye bye.